Dear journalists and guests, good afternoon. We proceed with our next briefing. We will be talking about the general update on OSCE SMM activity and the security situation in Ukraine. Our speaker will be Alexandra Hug, Deputy Chief Monitor of the OSCE Special Monitoring Mission in Ukraine.
Today from Debaltseve. To begin with, I am pleased to announce the opening of two new SMM forward patrol bases here in Debaltseve and in Horlivka yesterday. These bases will allow us to increase our operational scope in areas not controlled by the government. Apart from one such base in the Luhansk region, in an area not controlled by the government, all our forward patrol bases had until now been located in government-controlled areas. The opening of the two new bases will give us the ability to monitor and report on a parity basis, as well as operate more effectively. We are also about to establish two observation points at the DPR-controlled Oktyabr mine near Donetsk and in government-controlled Avdiivka. There we also consider the installation of cameras. We are in fact about to go operational with such cameras in Shirokine and the Donetsk airport, which will give us a 360-degree view of two critical areas on a 24/7 basis. Dear friends, as I speak today from Debaltsevo, a town that I have seen in flames 10 months ago, I regret that I have to report that fighting continues in many areas of Donbass. As ever, the epicenter remains areas at and around Donetsk airport. Just this Tuesday, our monitors recorded over 90 explosions there. It's always difficult to assess weapon type, given distance, weather conditions, and sometimes the rapidity at which they are fired. Sadly, our monitors around Donetsk airport have become quite good at such assessments. 6 of the explosions recorded on Tuesday were caused by 82mm mortars, which in itself tells another story. .82mm mortars, along with other types up to and including 120mm, plus tanks, artillery up to 100mm in caliber, are banned from what is supposed to be a security zone. The sides have committed to this in the addendum to the Minsk package of measures signed just 2.5 months ago. It is clear that not all of these weapons have been withdrawn as agreed. We also see heavy weapons inside agreed withdrawal lines. On Saturday, for example, we saw 12 122mm howitzers in so-called LPR-controlled Yurivka, southwest of Luhansk. We have also been largely unable to verify the withdrawal of heavy weapons, mostly because the sides failed to meet established ground rules or simply because previously recorded weapons are missing. On a positive note, however, I'm happy to inform you that both the Ukrainian Armed Forces and the so-called LPR did, since we last spoke, provide the SMM with some of the required information. Namely, in the terms of the locations of permanent storage sites, and baseline information. If we get some additional information, we can at least verify the withdrawal of some heavy weapons. The so-called DPR has given us nothing in this regard. You are all no doubt aware of the incident that occurred on Friday in a small settlement of Zaitsev, just immediately north of Horlivka. Let me first of all again offer my sincere sympathies to the family and friends of the woman who died as a result of a gunshot wound there. Her senseless and tragic death, like thousands of others in this part of Ukraine over the past year and a half, cries out for a solution to this conflict. I urge, in fact I demand, of those responsible to ensure weapons that cause such deaths are put beyond use. Dear media representatives, I cannot speculate because the SMM is in the business of establishing facts and reporting them. What I saw, however, in the wake of this woman's death does not give me cause for optimism that the same and human response will be taken. Instead of redoubling efforts to adhere to the Minsk agreements, which are the only hope for a peaceful resolution of this conflict, we witnessed a media-driven blame game, much of it directed at the SMM. Video footage of SMM monitors examining a crater and shrapnel at a location different from the one where the woman died serve only to confuse and distort the reality. The SMM will, however, not be deflected by such vile attempts to manipulate the facts and people's emotions, least of all because we owe it to the people of Donbass to record the facts, and we owe it to the same people to push for a resolution and normalization. We in particular owe it to the woman who died in Zaitsev, to her family, the wider community there, who were caught in a grey area, contested by and fought over by both sides. On Wednesday, I and some of my colleagues were in the small village of Pavlopil to the northeast of Mariupol. We saw people there resilient and resourceful in the face of a difficult circumstance. These people saw and lived through intense fighting in the last spring, and in the meantime have had to endure severe restrictions on their freedom of movement. Taking agriculture produce to markets in Mariupol, returning back to Pavlopil with basic food items, even the simple act of going to school, all of these things, what should be normal and mundane, have been extremely difficult. Now, as we saw on Wednesday, these people face yet more fighting as military positions of the Ukrainian armed forces are entrenched in the very heart of the village and elsewhere in the surrounding areas. I spoke with many of the people in the village, and they have just one message. Not here, not again, leave us in peace. The kind of checkpoint controls of the people of Pavlopil experience are, of course, routine all across the contact line. In Novotroysk, southwest of Donetsk, on 4th of December, for example, the OSCE observed over 140 vehicles waiting to cross into areas not controlled by the government, and 125 going in the opposite direction. There are, of course, security considerations of necessity there, and those considerations drive such controls, but there needs to be recognition of the humanitarian needs of the people affected. And believe me, people are being affected. In Horlivka, where we just opened a forward patrol base yesterday, our monitors met a 20-year-old man who had fractured his spine after falling from the roof of his house. He had been doing so, repairing his roof that has been damaged by shelling. If he is ever to walk again, he needs continued medical attention available to him only in government-controlled areas. He has received some treatment there, but the last time he and his mother crossed over, they had to wait 36 hours at the checkpoint. Movement of civilians is not just constrained by security measures. The danger posed by mines and unexploded ordnance exists all along the contact line. The fear they instill forces many people to limit their movement. On Sunday, in Vodiane, just northwest of Donetsk, for example, we spoke to 10 elderly men and women, some of those 60 people remaining in the village, which had a pre-conflict population of 460. They told us that the 3 tons of coal they had received from an international non-governmental organization was not enough to get them through the winter. If they wanted firewood, they said they would have to enter nearby forests and woods, which they said were full of unexploded ordnance and booby traps. Meanwhile, our monitors have been observing truckloads of coal leaving Ukraine through border crossing points not controlled by the government. Not far from Vodiane, in the town of Opitne, some of our monitors on Saturday did in fact come face to face with the danger of mines and unexploded ordnance. One of their patrol vehicles sustained minor damage, including shrapnel penetration, when a device exploded close to it. Thankfully, there were no injuries. It is, however, a reminder of the danger our monitors face on a daily basis. Their bravery should be acknowledged rather than their reputations unjustifiably deranged. I would like to add a positive development. On Wednesday, our Kherson team noted indications that electricity had been restored to one of the high voltage lines crossing the administrative boundary line between Kherson and Crimea. Undoing illegal damage to infrastructure, however belated, is welcome, not just because people are affected, but also because upholding the law is a mark and indeed a requirement of any democratic rule of law based country. Finally, dear colleagues, the mission numbers as usually at the end of my briefing. At the moment, the OSCE Special Monitoring Mission consists of 649 monitors, of which 517 are deployed in the eastern part of the country. We also employ 281 national staff and 76 other international staff. Thank you for your attention, and I'm available to questions if you have any.
Thank you very much, Alexander. Чи є запитання або уточнення? Are there any questions or clarifications from the journalists? Якщо запитань і уточнень немає.
There are no questions. There is one question. Oksana Sherbina, TSN channel. You told about the video where the woman was wounded and some information was distorted. What channel demonstrated, broadcasted that video plot?
Yes, thank you for your question. We have seen this footage being shown by various broadcasters here, in particular Live News, who broadcasted this yesterday and the day before yesterday.
Это видео было показано несколькими телеканалами, в частности телеканалом Live News. Оно было показано вчера и позавчера.
There are no further questions or clarifications. We thank you very much for making a Skype with us here, and we hope to hear next report from you next week. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Дякую. На цьому прес-конференцію завершено. Наступний звіт від ОБСЄ буде наступного тижня. Наш наступний брифінг буде о 16:15. Будемо говорити.
Our next press briefing will be at